Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Yue Eats. I'm Yue, and we are here for breakfast at a place that I like to come for lunch occasionally, a place called S&P. Well, I think now it's called S&P Lunch, but it was called S&P, I think, Diner before, or just S&P, and before that it was called Eisenberg. So before that it was a pretty historical deli here in the Flatiron neighborhood of New York City, Manhattan, and it had been around for many decades. And unfortunately, this place, really cool place, really classic lunch counter kind of atmosphere. You come here, you really feel like you're going like back in time. But I think what happened was this place was unfortunately one of the COVID casualties. It, hit some hard times, understandably so, during the pandemic. But I think what happened was that they had new ownership and they saved the Eisenberg Diner, but they were not able to keep the name. So they renamed it S&P, but it is no longer called Eisenberg, I believe, for trademark reasons. I actually wonder if that's why outside they kind of cover up the eyes so that they're not showing the Eisenberg. Now it's just like Sensenberg. It could be, now you don't know what it says. Now this place usually gets pretty slammed during lunchtime. It gets really, really busy, so, since I'm still working full-time, haven't quite made the full-time leap yet to YouTube. Because of that, I actually came here at breakfast time, right when they opened at 8:30, thinking that it was going to be pretty not busy, and that's actually the case at a lot of the famous deli joints here in New York. Like at Katz's Deli, if you go at opening time, there's almost no one in the morning and you pretty much waltz right in. While here, let me show you, even at like 8:30 in the morning, just look at how many people there are behind. Still pretty crowded. Now, of course, I want to show you the menu real quick, and it looks like they have lots of interesting breakfast items, and not a bad idea to get these since we are here for breakfast, but what I want to show you are more of these Jewish Deli classics. So, an egg cream. Gotta get one of these. Chocolate is probably the most classic flavor, but I'm a vanilla guy when it comes to egg creams. I can't say I've ever seen a coffee flavored egg cream before, so, that's kind of interesting. Might have to try that next time. Everyone says that the potato latkes are a star here and you have to get them, so $11. I guess that's a little expensive, but if people say it's good, let's try it. Matzo ball soup, also something that I want to get. Another Jewish Deli classic, so let's see how this matzo ball soup is and how they do it here. And then of course, out of all the sandwiches they have, and some of these look really, really interesting, I actually hear this peanut butter and bacon sandwich is pretty interesting too, so we might have to try this another time. But we are here to try the pastrami on rye, which is only $16, and that's just a price that you're not really gonna find anywhere else in New York at a Jewish deli. So let's just order and get our food, why don't we? Yeah, I'm gonna get a few items. Yes, for here. So I'm gonna get the pastrami
Sandwich?
Yes.
Roasted on rye, is that good?
That sounds good, perfect. I hear I gotta get the potato latkes. I hear those are good. Alright, I'll get one of those. I'm also gonna do a matzo ball soup and a vanilla egg cream. Okay, so our food is coming pretty fast and furious at this point. Really, really fast. And actually, thank you, pastrami sandwich. Thank you. Look, everything. And I ordered a lot of stuff. All that's missing so far is the potato latke. But the egg cream we gotta drink fast. She made it pretty quickly right in front of me. And the foamy head, unfortunately, has already kind of receded. So let's be quick and drink this vanilla egg cream.
No, this is perfect.
Alright, when you eat at these Jewish delis, you always gotta get an egg cream. It's like a New York classic.
Hi, can I just have like a medium coffee with a little milk to go?
It may not necessarily look like too much, especially since if you go to some Jewish delis, they'll give it to you in like a glass cup, but in this case, I gotta say, it may not look like too much, like it's just a very average plastic cup. Kind of reminds me of the plastic cups we had in my college cafeteria, but the egg cream tastes really good, not too sweet. It does kind of look like just a normal glass of milk, but when you drink it, you really taste that fizziness from the soda water. The syrup is not too thick. It's nice and light.
If you want the true Jewish experience, have a black cherry soda with your deli food.
Oh,
Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. I mean, some people say New Yorkers are mean and not very nice, but complete stranger just bought me a Dr. Brown, so not all stereotypes are true. Just keep that in mind. There are a lot of nice people in this town. But back to what I was saying about the egg cream. So he's right. The Dr. Brown's is more of a traditional pairing. I like to get the egg cream because I feel like, well, I guess you don't always get this soda brand everywhere. I guess I feel like the egg cream is more like a special thing. Like you can't get this fresh made or even can made like anywhere outside of New York City. But yeah, in this case, it's not too thick, not too sweet. Got some nice fizziness. Egg cream is basically just some flavored syrup, soda water, and then they kind of like stir it and mix it to really create like a new drink. So this is a good one. I really enjoyed this one. One of the top ones I've had, I'd say. All right, next up, let's do the matzo ball soup. Another Jewish staple, and we gotta drink this while it's still hot. A lot of people criticize me in my vid saying that I chit-chat too much and I let the food get cold, so let this be proof that I'm eating the food while it is hot. First, a drink of the broth. Now, this is a pretty legit chicken soup, I gotta say. Like, this is definitely a homemade chicken soup. Definitely stewed in the back. Sometimes places will kind of cheat. Some places will just use like canned soup, like Campbell's or something, but not here. I mean, you can definitely taste like the real homemade chicken stock here. Not too many vegetables inside, but at least the chicken stock itself is fresh and it's well spiced. Like, I don't know if you can see, you see the spices in it, so this is pretty solid. I will say, let me just show you for scale, I will say it is a bit smaller than matzo soups I've had at other places. Sometimes these can be really huge. Like you see the size of this plate here. Like sometimes it's more like the bowl is the size of this plate, so it is a bit of a smaller portion, but it is good quality. Let's try some of the matzo ball though. Soaking up all that delicious homemade chicken soup. You know, this might just be me. It could just be a different taste, a different recipe. Anyone in the comments, if you know, let me know if there's like regional differences. I feel like usually when I have matzo ball soups, the matzo tends to be more light, more fluffy. Not that this isn't fluffy, not that it isn't light. Like, you know, let me clarify. I don't mean like it lacks any of those traits. But in this case, it is a little bit more dense than I was expecting. Like it almost tastes like I'm eating like a vegetarian meatball, like a meatball made of matzah, like for vegan people or something, as opposed to like a matzo ball. It's not bad, but it's a little thicker, a little starchier, so not one of the lighter matzo balls I've had, but could just be a different take on it. But of course, let's try it together with some of the soup. There you go. Okay, so it definitely pairs better with the soup. I think the soup kind of helps to like kind of make it more moist and less dry and taste less dense. I do think though that in general, lighter matzo ball would also soak up the chicken soup a little bit more. So, you know, to each their own. I am positive it is just a different style, but you know, just providing my honest opinion. Although this chicken soup is pretty good in the morning. It's a good pick-me-up. Nice and nutritious. All right, next up, everyone says that the potato latkes here at artist formerly known as Eisenberg, now known as S&P, is a must. Basically like Eastern European hash browns, some sour cream and applesauce for flavor and palate cleanser, I believe. I've never been the best at cutting these latkes. I often tend to kind of just pick them up and just go to town on them like this, so forgive me for any bad manners. All right, I'm getting excited though for this golden brown fried potato latke. Oh, that is outstanding. You know, listen to what the locals say. This is heavily recommended for a reason, and it's quite good. It's just fried like perfectly. It's crunchy all over. I don't know if you guys were able to hear that crunch. My mic is usually good at picking up these crunch sounds, but just fried perfectly, golden brown, crunchy, not burnt, getting really close to being burnt. Like as you can see, it's a little bit charred, but it's like the perfect amount, like the perfect, like almost right at the point of no return, but just not quite there, making it perfectly crunchy. The only thing, you know, not many bad things to say about this latke. It's like almost perfect. I do wish it were slightly thicker, just a tiny bit. More starch would balance well with the crispy crust, making it both crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. But if you like crunchy potatoes, you're gonna love this. Now, I've never really been a big fan of the sour cream pairing, but let's put some applesauce on. Why don't we? Yeah. The applesauce is just always the perfect latke pairing. Like in this case, the applesauce, it's cool, it's a little sweet, maybe a little bit tart, depending on the kind of apples used. And then it kind of goes with the greasy, oily, crunchy potato latke, and it's just a perfect pairing. You know what? All right, let's try it with the sour cream. Let's just try it, just to cover all our bases. Okay, I stand by what I said, just my personal preference. I am still not the biggest fan of pairing sour cream with potato latkes. No knock against tradition, you know, and people like it and they keep providing it, so I am at the end of the day just a normal person with my own tastes and biases like anyone else. Not an expert by any means, nor do I claim to be. I guess I find that sour cream flavor just tends to be really strong, and it kind of tends to neutralize the potato here as opposed to pair with it like an applesauce does, but I'm glad I tried it, and I'm glad I tried exactly what I was intended to try here. But guys, it's finally time for the piece de resistance, the famous S&P pastrami sandwich, which is only $16. And let me tell you, that's a steal in 2023, in New York City especially. Not just Katz's Deli, everywhere pretty much in the whole city is charging at least 25 bucks or 23 bucks for this. So 16 bucks, you're not gonna find a better price. Okay, at first glance, it is definitely not as large as some of those other places I mentioned. Like compared to Katz's, that sandwich is humongous. That meat might be like this high. You know, like the way Katz is stacking their pastrami. So it's a little bit smaller, I guess 16 bucks. It's a good price, but you are kind of getting what you pay for in this case. But it looks good. I mean, hey, that's some solid looking pastrami. It's thick cut too, meaning they're confident in the tenderness of their meat. That's an amazing looking bark. I just love that amazing reddish pink color they got on it. And that mustard is looking pretty gnarly as well, so you know, you're definitely getting less food, but if the quality is still good, I think this is still very much worth it. All right, we finally reached the final act. The $16 pastrami sandwich at S&P, aka Eisenberg's. Way cheaper than 28 bucks at Katz's Deli and Pastrami Queen and Second Ave Deli and all those places. Let's see how it stacks up. No pun intended.
Hi.
I had an almond and milkshake.
You know what? Not bad. Overall, not bad. Here in New York, at any of the Jewish delis, it is hard to find a bad pastrami sandwich. I mean, they're all gonna be pretty good. The pastrami is fatty, and it does have a nice bark. You'll really taste that bark with your bites, like that explosion of spice flavor with every bite. And I gotta say, the mustard, at some of these joints, the mustard is an afterthought. But in this case, it's some really spicy brown mustard, and it is one of the stars of the show, and it pairs really well with everything else. The pastrami is good, although I do find it a little bit fatty to my taste. On the top, you can't really see, but when you tilt it, you kind of see that it is quite fatty in the middle. I find it a little bit fatty for me. I know some people will really like that, but for me, I like a nice balance between fat and lean when it comes to like pastrami sandwiches or just beef sandwiches in general. While I usually like these thick cut pastramis, I actually made it preferred if they had sliced this thinner. I know usually my whole thing is thick cut pastrami is great, but in this case, I would have liked if they had sliced it a little bit more. And I do also just want to say that while I'm not against a nice chew on pastrami, I like it when they have a nice chew, but in this case, there is definitely more of a chew. Like, it does kind of have a bit of a balance and a chew to it. It doesn't quite have that fall apart in your mouth sensation that you get from some of the other joints. I will say, still very good, but you are sort of getting what you're paying for, both in size and quality. Although, don't get me wrong, I don't want you to think that it's like hard or rubbery. Like, if you look, it still comes apart if you like pull at it, but as you can see, you really gotta kind of like pull to like break it apart, as opposed to like other places where it kind of disintegrates if you just touch it. Ultimately though, I gotta say, at the end of the day, you do kind of get what you pay for. I think just in general, the reason why pastrami prices are just so intense now is because I think beef prices have just kind of been rising steadily. So that's kind of why all these places, not just a touristy place like Katz's, but even the less known to tourist places like Pastrami Queen, they also need to raise their prices just to offset the costs of making it. So I'll just say, you know, overall a solid sandwich. You definitely get less food, and you know, if you're gonna pay less, I guess you kind of have to expect it. At other places like Katz's, it might cost 28 bucks, but it's so big, you can and you probably should split it into 2 meals. But at this place, it really is more 1 meal or 2 meals if you're just not a big eater. But it really is 1 meal if we're being honest. Like, it's really just one normal size sandwich, so keep that in mind when you eat here. But still very good, and like I said, most pastrami sandwiches at Jewish Delis in New York are excellent. Still a very good sandwich. But anyways, guys, I'm still really glad I got to show you guys this place. Overall, this place makes really good food, and eating here is a really cool experience. It feels like you're like stepping into like a time machine. Sitting at this S&P Lunch counter really does feel like you're getting like the quintessential must-have Manhattan experience. So if you're visiting or if you're a local and you've never tried this place before, I highly recommend it. Anyways, thanks for watching. What are your favorite Jewish delis and pastrami joints in New York City, in the US, or in the world? Let me know in the comments, because great minds eat alike. If you like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. That way you stay up to date whenever I post another video. Until next time, I'll see you later.